My name's Daniel Bays. I farm with Bays Ranch Incorporated, which is made up of my father, grandfather, and myself. We farm apricots, almonds, walnuts, tomatoes, lima beans, melons, and wheat hay. I grew up in it. My parents' house was 2 miles away from our shop here, my grandparents' house, on another piece that we farm. And that was an apricot orchard around the house while I was growing up. Spent most of my days riding around in the pickup with Dad or Grandpa or the foreman or whoever I could jump on the tractor with and ride around. Going through high school, I really liked being in the shop, tinkering on engines, welding on equipment, trying to improve things or fix things. After college, when I came back, some of the water and the nutrient management and the agronomy aspect of the crop was more interesting to me. Big challenges looking forward for the next 5 years are our primary one in California that everyone will tell you about is water. So that's kind of on the forefront now, what we're looking at as far as the sustainability of our wells, looking for alternate water sources, trying to be proactive there and getting the most crop for each drop. Next to that is probably labor, especially with the apricots and the fresh fruit deal. Like I said, 100% of our stuff at this point is hand-picked. Looking forward, there's some of our neighbors that are starting to experiment with mechanical harvest of apricots for processors. They're having reasonable success with it. What the processor has found is that fruit bruises a lot more in the mechanical process, and they don't have the luxury of being able to put it into cold storage and then run it over the next 3 or 4 days. What's harvested today has to be sorted and be processed in that same day, or else the fruit starts to deteriorate. That's worked a little bit to a benefit for us. We get a higher premium for for hand picking our fruit, because they can use that, they can put it in cold storage and use it for a week and a half to 2 weeks to kind of fill in between the mechanical harvest. We're going to have to do something different just with the regulations in California and even the challenges of finding reliable labor to come and harvest a crop. Mechanical harvest is something that we're going to have to go to. I think there's still a lot of technology development in perfecting or improving the machines to do a cleaner and better job of mechanically harvesting the trees, as well as some of the training. We've put in some younger orchards, and in our pruning and training of that young tree, trying to be a little more proactive of training a tree that the scaffolds are up a little higher off the ground. It would be more conducive to using a mechanical harvester. A lot of our older orchards, just the way they were trained for hand harvest, to bring a mechanical harvester in there, it would tear up the mechanical harvester and it'd damage a lot of our trees. Our irrigation districts have been pretty good, and even our neighbors, about getting creative, sharing pipelines, being able to pump water into a canal in one spot and take it out in another. That's helped us squeak by with a lot of places. Some orchards where they're getting up in years, we're planning on taking them out in 2 or 3 years anyway. We've kind of looked at the benefit to leaving it in versus taking that out and taking the water resource we would have dedicated to those acres and putting elsewhere. Last year we took 45 acres of apricots out after harvest, just to stretch that water supply for the rest of the orchard. And then there's other pieces where water's tight, maybe the trees are younger and in better shape, and we'll kind of take what we call a deficit irrigation strategy. Where normally we might be putting an inch on every week or every couple days, we'll cut that down to 3/4 of an inch. Stresses the tree a little bit more. You may not have the crop load and the bud set for next year, but at least you're keeping that orchard alive. Everything takes just a little bit of hit rather than one particular field really getting hit hard with it, and you can kind of stretch our water supply a little farther that way too. Where my interest is, or depending on the time of season, kind of fluctuates, and it gives me that flexibility where I'm never, if I get bored or tired of one thing or frustrated with something, there's always something else I can go work on, go focus on, and kind of clear my mind and come back with a fresh perspective the next day.